Well, looks like we're getting no webcam today. I tried disabling the microphone because OBS has apparently gotten confused with what the default microphone is. Apparently I disabled the entire camera and now it doesn't come back. Silly me, I thought I could disable only the audio and not the video as well. Thank you. So we have a couple of classes of objects that I'd like to automatically identify in case they ever changed. And then we'll just leave that up. So let me remember how this works. Actually, it's just been a while since I processed this. Shoot, yeah, it's been a while since I processed this period. I probably need to get my local copy up to current state, which I forgot about. We'll have some code research to do in the meantime as well. What are we doing for a regular call here? Node process download. I think download ends up including the sprites. So it doesn't say which version it's on right now. But I imagine my local copy is pretty old. Populating versions. Okay, so it's working backwards, essentially. I'll probably do sprites too, which we don't need right now. Oh. Or maybe mapping... No, it's not. Maybe... I thought that did do sprites. Oh, no, this computer can't do sprites. Do I have some local changes? No. Okay, well. Probably just as well. So... I guess we're only one version behind. Amazingly enough. There is a step. It's going to be export objects, which is part of game data. Save JSON objects.data, object data. We don't do all the individual objects, and then this is our customized version. IDs and inbound, floor removal, spawn changes. We do our own spawn changes. So his filters, I think, are clothing, food, tools, natural heat sources, containers, which are not necessarily the things I care about. What did that put out? That's a object. Yep, clothing. Objects.filter is clothing. Food value is tool, is craftable. Heat value, container, water source. Oh. Maybe water source got removed at some point? Yeah. So it might be something very, very like this. I mean, I guess really what I'm going to be doing is like is notable. Having the individual properties might be useful. Key name, key natural, water heat. Okay, so just a single word. And then the IDs for that, I guess I could just kind of copy this and use something similar. But then the individual objects are going to have that sort of is natural, is grave, is clothing, is water source. Yeah, that was a little bit specific. Is global trigger. What's a global trigger? Is that for the speech stuff? Is tool. And this was something I had to add before. Spawn data, probably something I added. Maybe. JSON data, that's for the entire thing. All right, so monument call. I think it's just a word to search for. That was deadly. Yep. No, that has a definite definite trigger. Probably closer to is tool. That's for a plus. Da, 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 da. All right, so there's monument call. Tower monument is kind of its own thing. So there's monument call. There's monument step. What was the other things I was looking at? Actually, it was model. Monument call, monument step, fam use. Let's get to cisterns, but maybe I pull that out later. I don't know if there's a better way to put fam use. What about tap out? And now it's gonna get snow doors and things. Now maybe we could do like large scale tap out. Like the property fence is 111111111. We don't care about. Actually, I'm surprised that there's... Maybe it's only listing so many objects, 'cause I'm pretty sure that more of the... Like, what about a wall? Oh, now you see... Oh, okay, so wall and tap out are different things. Interesting. Oop. You're just regressed, which is still... I don't know if that will be recorded. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So what if we did like 5 as a cutoff? However, nothing here has had the parse tap out triggers before. Let's see, tap out 40, tap out 40, tap out 40, tap out 40. So if we could get like just the first number. We'd be kind of good. Do we have anything else in here that's parsing a numeric attribute like that? Yeah, slots is its own thing. Food value, heat value, transitions. Well, there's some pound stuff. Parse name, okay. Oh, you know what, actually, well, that's grid placement, which... Yeah, those could be for natural objects. Name equals name. We left that alone. Lid placement, rand placement. So then we do the split into there. And we're only looking in extra for the attributes. Now what is data? Okay, so we've got specific named properties and then data. Is data what we output for the object? Well, attributes values. Num uses num chance. So we've got top level objects and we've got data. Data food value, data heat value, data num uses. Grid, if it's grid placement, and oh look, we're doing some number stuff here. Not extra return. These are doing specifically numbery things. In monument call, you could still just do a name check. I don't really know if I care about the FAM use distance. And it's plus tap out save. So it's comma in this case. And I think the others were just number. And do we ever have less than all four numbers? I don't think so. Okay, so we're setting up to have some attributes. I'm probably basing this off of some of the internal code stuff in terms of names. Of course, if we looked at the internal code, it'd probably have very similar things. This might actually be... Is Object Bank common source? No. It's a tap out record. So we have a grid spacing, we have a limit. Build count limit. Is that some unused stuff? Numread 4 or numread 7. So there's a numread 7 that maybe went unused. Yeah, so you can have build count limit X, build count limit Y. And that is not currently in use. So I have forgotten what that means. Looks like we need to be too concerned about it now then. We're mainly just looking at identifying large tap-out triggers, so that won't matter. And as a regex, that'll still match. Build count, tap out counts. Oh, maybe there may have been a time when you only allowed X number of wells on the map. Or something like that. Alright, so in JSON code, it's grid spacing and limit X, limit Y. Now, we're just saying that an object... No, we just have a list of all tap-out triggers. Which, this is kind of what we're going to end up turning this into. If tap-out... It's going to be a little bit like this, aren't we? Oh, it was started out grid placement, and then we did other grid spacing X, X. Oh, this is all going to be grid. Oh, except you're actually grid spacing, so it's not all grid. Grid spacing Y. Now, this is probably going to be 0. 0. Okay, X grid, Y grid, X, Y limit. It is in fact what that is. All right, then is large tap out. If this dot data dot first number is grid spacing X, pick some arbitrary amount. All right, FAMUs. We weren't doing all FAMUs. Oh, yeah, because we didn't count cisterns. And these wells are not like tap-out triggers or anything. Some of these are also tap-out triggers. But cisterns would probably be too spammy. I might just have to manually remove those. All right, monument call, monument step, FAMUs, active oil. And we know we had gushing oil rig was a tap out. So that's the things it does to all the other stuff. What we can do to it is, well, wait, we can wait. For final image type things, this is all going to happen in the same spot, so it's not going to actually end up recording a whole lot. But I don't know if there's a good way to get this series of objects. Well, we could step through and do it manually. That's going to end up being a different step. So we can either add the pump valve to get a pump jack, and that has like no special properties, or we start this assembly process to get to a wet oil well to add an engine, and this has, once again, no special properties. So this is going to be a big old manual list somewhere. Bell ring is monument call. Those should all be monument step. The wells we should have gotten with either FAMUs or tap out. Well, actually, there's probably a couple of these that would be left out of there. We decided not to do iron. Oil pump. See, the Apocalypse is monument call. We did not get level 1, but that's a separate thing. So I think this will get us started, and then we have to see what's left, in addition, even beyond what's here. So we want something like, what was it? Categories? Object filters? Object. So we have monument call, monument step. I actually don't think we have a name for this. And really, this all just comes down to notable, but keeping track of the separate things might be useful somewhere down the line. Is FAMUs, and we have a large tap out. Now, if I had this record the detail, then maybe something else could make the judgment about large, but... No, well, tap out might be useful if I ever want to do wall stuff, but that's a project for another day. Go ahead and call it large. Just in case we want to do everything later. Call, monument step, FAMUs, large. Ooh, we didn't rename that one. What do we need a name? All right, so game data had object filters. JSON data objects. Now, I'm going to have to force a... Wait a minute. No, I only output one version of objects. It's the version changes, which get rolled into that. Which is only for spawn changes that we care about. We should not need to process download, although I might have to do something to force it. Nothing to repeat. Oh, I have to... That's in a regex. Although I guess we probably didn't actually need the plus there. No, we're back in one life. We need one tack. Oh no, it puts it back here. Pretty JSON. Right, this version doesn't have bounds, which it makes it a little bit awkward. Okay, and all of these failed. Names. Yeah, you've got the pound sign in use, so that shouldn't have been an issue. So from the looks of it, the notable objects thing works to a point. We got the right keys. Got all that structure. We don't have... What are you? So global trigger must be something else. I don't think that should be an issue. So filters, this dot filters map. We clearly got that list. But like all of these conditions are not doing what I think they should do. Oh, you know what? This is probably this dot... maybe that's like the printing name. And then data dot name is the full name. This dot name. Yeah, I don't know if there was a this dot name anywhere. I don't know if that was an actual thing. Then tap out is actually going to come down a little bit to is that regex correct? Yeah, tap out trigger, tap out trigger, tap out trigger. Still completely bust. Okay. This is going to be spammy as heck. Because I really need data.name. See if that's even something. Oh, are you getting an actual list of objects? You don't seem to be getting a list of objects. Maybe the thing that I was passing around is a thing that I've removed because we don't have to do the, no, IDs, objects.map. And we know that gets called because it's outputting the keys. Oh! We've disabled something that sets one of the properties used by CanFilter, apparently. Nope, object. Object. Game object. CanFilter. Oh, did we not calculate craftable depth? So the good thing about craftable depth is it removes things that are uncraftable. But if they're uncraftable, they won't appear in the map data anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Get out of here. Oh, did I leave that printing? No, okay. Hey, there's some stuff. Alright, compared to what we had before. There's the bell ring. There's the no bell. There's all our levels of monument step. I apparently included 816. Maybe there were no instances of it actually in the map. FAMU is going to be some of the wells. Apparently these did this in reverse order. Yeah, and then we're going to have to add a couple of extras. $23.44, 662, 663, and large tap out did not work, however. So we're still got a parsing problem there. Tap out trigger. Comma, digit. Comma, digit, comma, digit, comma, digit. Maybe I escaped the plus wrong? Let's see. Maybe it's probably, for one thing, it's probably, yeah, 0 is the full match. And then these are all the individual numbers. Or the submatch. I mean, we're checking exactly that first thing. Four large tap outs. Okay, so 662 is we dug a deep well. 2306 we didn't have here. 4086. One of those is probably the oil pump, which we need to get some other oil stuff. All right. So that lets us have a degree of automation. I guess for now I could just pull this out and add it to my existing object file. And at some point we have to figure out how to make the online version process this. Because this does not run. No, I had a Docker that did. That's what this was for. Where did it build that though? Oh, it probably updated it directly. Extract. Oh, extract the files to my local directory. Well, this is still a little bit of a prototype here. I guess the rest of these could either be in the code or in yet another file. It is a list. And then the file we're currently running off of oh, this was the pretty version too. The other one could be a little bit more interesting. Nope, public. Static. Oh, well, that's fairly compact when put that way. Yeah, date and then spawn changes. Oop. Okay, quote got a little bit messed up. All right. So this is all kind of managed by that. Okay, the manual resets is sort of a manual file, but it is kind of per server. I really need something different that's like a server type. I guess for now we can stick it there because that's going to be the easiest place to handle things. How are we referencing that? All right, so data server. I don't think map processing needs the database. Oh, actually, we end up prototyping this stuff here anyway. So right now, that's all triggered from map process, which then goes off and uses a bunch of helper things. So I have to figure out which pass is doing this. Got activity map, we got final placements, map log process. Do you even have? Oh, maybe your additional steps. That was a different thing. Did I not add that to here? Oh, this might not be. This might be. Might not be that version. Yep, your master. Nope. Yeah. That was an output tweak. And you probably need to get battery based on that. All right, you should have extra steps, or at least one extra step. All right, so we have object search, final placements, map process. All right, so there's one new step, and then the one that happened as part of regular processing. So we have to decide, first of all, which step is going to do this. We want only one item per location. But we may, do we want places where something got put up and taken down? So the place coherency is something that tends to happen in map image processing or in static state processing. maybe as part of notable objects, which would be able to take advantage of stuff from previously known tiles that had been at least loaded. We're going through, we're recording all of the objects in loaded tiles. Maybe during log processing, we have to note down all locations of interest. But we're breaking everything into tiles, so we're going to have to go through on a tile-by-tile basis. So taking advantage of that, yeah, it would be lighter weight in there. But final placements would give us a little bit more. Let's see, is this a post-process, or is this something that happens during processing? Right object. Right object's index. I haven't noticed problems with things doubling yet. Or from overage. Or is this separate data that gets recorded? Tileset.objectIndex. But we're doing an inbounds check. Index for that ID. But this is going to be a little bit different because we want to know locations where something happened. Oh. Yeah, if it was just an old notable object that hadn't really been touched, it wouldn't really be an indicator of activity. Oh. And at some point, I might want to do a priority of these, which if I'm doing automatic object determination, it's going to be harder to prioritize them. I guess notable objects might still be sort of useful for me. We might be able to do something just by type. Unfortunately, we've got the apocalypses lumped in with monument call right now, and bells are relatively ordinary, apocalypses are not. Hmm. So we could take, let's see, what if we took all the notable objects, we have the object indexes, we would put them all together and then, well, not exactly the same way as we do with the object indexes themselves, because now we care about object type. But that's actually in the output format anyway. We would have to do another pass on deduping locations, because you'd have like, well, if we're only using the final image data, there's only going to be one per location anyway. If we used some blow-by-blow placement data, you could get where something was put up and then taken down. And it would still kind of show as the last notable thing that was there. That might, for instance, give you an oil well that was run. Whereas an exhausted oil well is interesting in as much as, oh, well, that area of the map has been tapped out. I don't remember, did I have that in my prototype list? I kind of took that out. If I were to do both final image and blow by blow, what items would be interesting? And I guess there was where an oil well was. Could be interesting. An apocalypse that got taken down could be interesting. Wells are probably always going to be in some kind of state. Monuments can go up and go down. I guess the ones that get taken down aren't completed and they're maybe not quite as interesting. Okay, so here's a problem with static image. Not every stage of the monument is a monument step. Well, okay, actually these parts are. Okay, the timed ones, which probably won't occur in the map data anyway, unless there's some way you can like touch it and make it appear. Because they interact with something else, but that's not necessarily an interesting change. There are probably other cases where there's like the multiple stages of a pump firing. Well, we're only going to end up locating or recording one thing. Are there cases where the final image would not be an interesting thing? And I guess the final image could be one of those in-between states of a well or something. I was kind of trying to list everything out here. Like there's multiple steps in firing a kerosene well. So seeing that the location had had a notable object would put it in the list. So maybe we need to have a, as we go, there was something notable here. We could even record what that was. And then we also go through the indexes for those objects in the final image. And we would then do the notable events before the final image placements. Then if the final image ended up being something that wasn't recorded, but it was like a transition of a firing pump or something, you would still have the basic state of the pump in the index, but for most things you would, and dedupe by a whole other pass, dedupe by location for those objects. If we took the event log and all of the individual indexes, which are going to be final state, then any of those final state things could overwrite the event, and final state's only going to have the possibility of representing one object anyway. Okay, so that's the prototype list. We do have to have, I can put in some kind of list. Your tile set, that is all of the individual object indexes. Actually, notable objects are probably going to have to get made exempt from cutoff. Or we use just the notable object version of it. Wait, so that's a triple of a Boolean. What do you then? Oh, yep, that is effectively a Boolean. Okay. Unless included, ID, list coords. Okay, and those triples actually are the list of coordinates. We include this in process spans? It would, in this case, that would be part of span processing. Did I do anything separate for object search? Yeah, now you see you've got a log search. We don't really have a key search thing to separately record that we have done this stuff. I mean, I guess I can just remove the processed file. And for testing purposes, what we usually do is somewhere in here we have a very, very small file. And we were actually in a different little file. And then somewhere we break down the check for has it been processed. Thank you. Base time process. Oh no, this version was broken down. We were still in testing mode. All right, so we've got objects. Is this just a JSON thing? What do we do to load objects? It is an object data. So we do load specific things. Now, for the purposes of this program right now, I could probably just go ahead and flatten this here. Let's see, so that's for each ID. This is floor removals, each do. You are going to be you are in each with index. You are going to be a a what? We did not keep that open. Okay, it's an array with key and IDs. So you're just going to be in each. Yeah. Of a something. Oh, but that's our internal object. And notable is they're just going to be a list for our purposes. And then object is going to have, what was it, like IDs or something? IDs. Can I just notable? I know that there's some like union join. I just don't remember if it's modifying or returning. This would be union. Returns a new array. Do we do any assign? We're gonna have to do it that way. I could put my extended list in here. Are you given a path or you just load it? Read contents. You're given a file content. Well, reading that in and of itself is something. Final placement. Although really, that can happen as early as, well, we're gonna needing it here, right? Index, write objects. Yeah. P objects dot notable. All right, have I opened a thing for you yet? Oh, family trees. And define each for nil. I probably need to check for this in case we end up running on an old data. Oh, this might be running off of the local copy of objects. Yeah, because this is all test output stuff. Family trees. Map, public. Static. Output, static. We should have had some checking there anyway, but... Oh, and I guess I need to cut out maybe some other passes. Okay, there's just a big list of items that I think that loaded, and... That's game object. I hope we're done with you. Object data. All right, so let's do the key search stuff. We have an initial list. Maybe we should put in some kind of placeholder. How are we going to want to merge that? We're going to have a local notable and... So that kind of stuff has been passed in so far. Object data.new, file system read. We've got a read method that works off of that. We could extend that with the notable object, with the manual notable object list. Where does manual resets is a extra thing? Placement path, manual resets. Seed break is doing a little bit more logic than just the read. I mean, the read is just this, which is still something. So we've got read notable objects, notable objects. That's just an object return list, which is probably fine for now. We're going to want to union that, and then maybe as we build out some other logic, we'll be able to do something with that. Well, there's notable objects, as in which ones are notable, and then there's the actual list. So mostly this is done up front. So this is kind of along the line of this stuff. Placement path. Placement path is technically a per server thing. I don't necessarily know what that belongs there. Well, okay, seed breaks are definitely per server. This is not per server. Do I have a directory? No. We've got data. Like, this is like a file I don't touch very often. Actually, I guess this is all stuff that is technically output by data processing. But it's still places we load stuff from. So if we were to, let's see, where is model? I guess leaving some room for comments might be good in here. No. Notable objects. Really? I'd swear I did that. Why is paste such a pain? Oh, the commented ones ended up a little bit different. Well, we decided not to include those anyway. All right, we do have to figure out which ones we can exclude now. All right, monument call. We've got you. We've got most levels of the apocalypse. Oh, 87. Did I mistype that? 84, 82, 81. Oh, these are the things that are going to appear on the map. In this case, the monument call is a timed transition. So that's going to be manual anyway. The monument steps. I included 16 for some reason. Maybe that was a choice. Is a stable bell tower base is a timed thing, so that might not actually show up. Nope. Objects. There's monument step. There. All right, so FAMUs gets a 62, 63. There's some 71s. There's a 1097. But you have to consider some of these might be more appropriate things to also include. Uh, 1098. Oh, and this might actually be a typo. $1067 is. I'd swear I fixed that typo in here. I guess I just said, it'll get taken care of in. I get taken care of elsewhere. All right, so 1097. Right, did I? Yeah, that one was there. This one should be there. Yeah, 98, 97. 1861 and 62 we didn't have before. Maybe they don't show up in the map data. See, now this is an automatic transition, but that's data driven, so sure. That's probably going to be similar. Was empty. 224 we had. 234 we had. 2389 we had. 23963 we had. So these are like other states that wells can be in that aren't FAMUs necessarily. And large tap out, 3963. 2306 and 662 we definitely had. So those are only adding things to the list. And there are maybe some other things that we should be including. So I was mostly looking up wells and things. Through here. Let's see. So the current prototype of object search has the usage information, but some of them doesn't exist. Could be it just didn't exist in the timestamps that we processed. We can maybe make some judgments about that. The current search is probably good enough for getting item lists. Yeah, that operates from farther out though. And then there's like, we've got to consider pumps and wells. I guess pumps and wells will cover most of it. So there's wet oil well. Four, 5, 2, 8. I know at least one of these to tap out. So many files. The regular well sites. Dry well site, I'm not too concerned about. Dry deep well. Now you see, this version doesn't have the ID numbers. I don't think I actually need a lot of the server stuff running to do that. Well, yeah, that gives me the IDs. Dry well site, dry deep well could be a thing. Too many files. Is that you? Yeah, I don't have that in any of these. Dry shallow well, 664. Let's see, exhausted deep. Exhausted deep we had. Exhausted oil well, I think we said that's not going to be like indicative of a town. It's going to be a tiny little thing. See, maybe the exhausted wells aren't going to be good for, well, a family could be there and recently out, or it could be long dead. It's kind of hard to say. Deep well, we've got full deep well. Well, if it's FAMUs, we've got it. I don't think well sites show up. Yeah, there could be a lot of those out in the wilderness. I don't think it's going to be indicative of significant stuff. You're a FAMUs. Eurofamuse, FAMUSE. Euro tap out trigger, tap out trigger, tap out trigger. So we should have those. Oil pump jack. Now this, there's potentially a lot of states of. $23.08. Oil pump jack. Empty oil pump. Okay, that might be a useful thing. Let's see, so wet oil well, 45.29. Oh, do I need, yeah, I'm gonna need more of these. Pump beam kit, empty oil pump, fueled oil pump we had. Running oil pump might be a thing that would appear and then disappear. Well, no, actually, this is going to get activated by the pipe system. So I'm not sure that that's ever going to show up. I mean, I guess having it in the list won't really hurt. Pump valve jacket. Wet Newcomen. If we have some kind of Newcomen pump, I guess there's the question of then does it actually show up in the list, whereas this represents... I guess it could be all the transitions recorded when we're doing the big master list it's all gonna resolve down to the same location though. There's not gonna be a lot of these. 2, 2, 3, 4. Is that 2, 2, 2, 4 and 2, 3, 4, 4? 2, 2, 3, 4. That might be a player-triggered thing. Do 2, 0? See, I'm kind of keeping the pumps together, but power pump head deals are removed. And the oil stuff together. Exhausted oil pump, not that exact one, no. Exhausted oil pump. Yeah, that represents an engine still there. That is a 3-3. Firing oil pump jack. Well, firing is probably a player-triggered thing. If they never got to harvesting the oil. 2311. Newcomen Pump Tower. Which part is that part of? That is a stage in Wells. 2229. And maybe I could do some of this by following transition trees. Like I know this does the crafting tree things. But it seems like it can be pretty hairy to cut off at the right point. Newcomen Pump Tower, we got that. Sprinkler, interesting, maybe a sign of civilization, but not gonna be a very common one. Sprinkler pump. Wet diesel water pump, 2390. It's not a FAM user or anything. 2390. Oh, got it. Running sprinkler. Exhausted oil pump jack, 3083. Exhausted Newcomen pump, 3032. Wait. Are there exhausted oil pump jack? 3084. One of these might be a timed transition. Wet kerosene Newcomen pump, 2352. Oh yeah, the kerosene. What? Kerosene. Dry kerosene, 2345. Oil pump jack with charcoal, 2333. Newcomen pump. I guess they pump jack if it's oil. 2226. Oil pump jack with torn seal. 3264. Oh, I'm calling this notable objects. I've been sloppy with all of the data. Probably should put some kind of server class identifier in here. Exhausted oil pump tower. 3090. This might just be the disassembly steps. Oop. That is an oil pump than an oil pump jack. $89. This appears to go down. Oop. What do we... Okay. 88. $87. $86. What's 85 then? Okay, you're 86. There's an oil drilling tower. Ropeless exhausted oil pump jack. I think I did this by word length. So it's probably still down here. Newcomen pump with kerosene. 2350. No, that's oil. 222. Yeah. Newcomen pump 2350. That makes me doubt wet and dry. 234. Yeah. Kerosene was in that series. And then this was Newcomen pump with kerosene. Oil pump jack with full tank, 2309. Newcomen pump with charcoal. Dry diesel, 23, you're a tool, you're not a FAM user or anything. 2388. Dry diesel water pump. Oil pump jack with empty tank, 2312. Oil pump jack. 2312. Now I guess what I really need to do is like write an object list exporter, which would have its own uses in saving sets of things. That would be independently useful. It'd be significantly less tedious, although it might get some of the FAM use things we can auto-determine. Scrap pump valve, pump jack with 2332. Did I not? No, 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 no. What the heck were you? Oil pump jack with empty tank? Oil pump jack with empty tank. Wait, no, we've got one too. Oil pump jack. Oh, 3-2. Full boiler. That's what I was trying to do, 3-3. Pumpkin, unpowered pump head, 3042. Got you. Oh, now I just need to get more water. Be back in a bit. Nope. Now, there was something about these deploying at inappropriate times. What was it? Was it? No, I guess that's only on the ground. Oh. Okay, this would be a lot.
Okay, not yet. So we don't need this option phase. Because the AI scripts themselves will handle all that. So we don't need any buttons. Or the mouse. Still need this.
I'll be back hopefully sometime soon. I don't quite have a schedule quite figured out yet. Gotta see if I can get my half marathon run in sometime tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Like I said, thanks again, and I will see you all hopefully soon. Roadwax out.
So, yeah. It's time to set up home so that I can be the best mom ever again. I wish I had desert tiles here though. That's my only problem with this start. Is there desert tiles up here?
Sports, talented with the arts, she was a tragic heroine who died at 18. When did she die? Like 25 years ago. There was a student named Aya that went here 15 years ago, wasn't there? Who knows? I'm busy. Just get out of here. Yeah, fine. I leave the school. Granted, he wouldn't know anyway, because teachers have to move schools every 5 years. I wore myself out walking.
Welcome back. Try a new common pump with... And it's like, having done that, are there yet more things under different search terms? I mean, our starter list had most of the ones that were actually common from the looks of things. That was only one time period. How much trouble is an exporter? To make it actually useful, we have to have a importer. And then do we do that off of selection? Do we do it off of lock? I should really do that off of lock. Because then you could get together multiple sets of things. All right, so the file import is an especially complicated little beast. I've done it before. I just have to... I think there might be a library for it, and then you have to do all the integration stuff. The download is mostly a matter of making a string and downloading it, if I recall. I have not worked on that project yet. Hostables and import-export. I think it might be just Vue. That's for exporting the user ID. Maybe that. Yeah, no, that's the export auth. href. No. Isn't it like disposition download or something? Maybe it is a button. What would that action be, though? Oh, file. So it still involves the file library. That was using a JSON encoder. Would this file be small enough to do? And if I could go through and check a list, then I wouldn't have to worry as much about... Well, I'd have to go find all these things again. And I can't necessarily keep them in thematic groups. So I'd still have to have something set up to encode that. We'd still have to add the file library. And it seems like something along that line might come along eventually. Well, I probably could do it as a data URL as well, but that seems to be the way that works. And if I needed to do small changes to this, I could just identify those things and move the entries over, I guess. It would be a little bit more annoying to manually edit, but I guess I'm pretty much copying lines anyway. So, what are we doing? On Object Bank, I closed down my other list, didn't I? And that process is on hold. That were a reference of things we already had. That's reference for file. See, this is the. I think this is gonna be pure Elm. See, I don't actually need a whole lot else in the way of stuff here. So already in that branch, we'll need a source control. All right, so you're in archive. You're in one tech. You're in public. Are we work in progress? We're a little bit work in progress. All right, so that actually was that stuff, which isn't necessarily long for the world here, but... So that was notes, that was there, and that was this list. As we can follow that all as notes. Are you open yet? No, we had the model open earlier. I'm pretty sure we're going to need file. Oh, I've already got indirect dependency. We have to make it direct before we can reference it. And start up a compiler. Bin monitor. Okay, and then our reference code is just an event that gets called. Okay, so we had an export module essentially. Okay, that is view export. Okay, that's the constructor of the model. Encode to export format. Do we have any other... We did have no whole data encode, and we had a persist encode. This will probably end up being a kind of persist encodance. Although this is more for setting stuff. But maybe your saved settings are a thing. You did not... Okay, yeah, persist. Type alias. This is only a single... This is like locked. A single locked search. A single search set. Although this really might end up just being a... This is just a list of numbers, isn't it? Locked objects is just a set. That will require a little bit of encoding. I don't know if it requires a super fancy type. Persist. Locked objects. Do we even have object IDs here, and what do we have to import for that? Now, maybe you could turn that into a list before passing it to a simple JSON code. So this is going to be a list of int of set.toList. Oh, I wanted to put names on here. It's true that that is a sufficient description. But for me to have any sane management of this list, which is actually going to, so now we're back to a type. Type alias. Well, it's still going to be a single list, isn't it? Maybe it's the type that really would want to be. It could be tuples. A default JSON encoding will probably still put that on multiple lines where it's slightly inconvenient. Or I actually do a custom encoding. In which case, we're not necessarily in encode, because encode is Java, JSON. Of course, it would then be a parsing process to, what's the opposite of a parsing process? Serialize? What do we have? We have a life name, we have a server name. This must be a whole data thing to have an object name, a life, server. IDs, bounds change. So when we need to look up an object name, that's a different kind of name. Object name parts. Okay, so we have all model object ID. Object name. Get ID model servers, map objects, dict.get object ID. So either I'd have to pre-turn it into pairs, which I think that's what kind of what we're doing before. You turn it into the persistence format and then call a serializer on it. There's going to be some work there. Do we do structs or do we do pairs? I don't think there's going to be any more state than that. So actually, then if it's not named structures, then it's not, doesn't necessarily need a type. If we do a JSON encoding, it's going to spread. It's either going to be completely compacted or completely exploded. Nope, edit source. I don't know if there's any real utility packages for doing this. It's just we're going to have a list of where's object ID come from. I actually think I may have ended up identifying it in several places. All right, are you going to import? Yeah. An object search index. I don't think we need that. A list of object ID. So all the hard work is actually going to get done elsewhere. Maybe model could take over some of that. Oh, and you're going to return a string to download. All right, you are going to be, is it string.join? Well, we're going to take locked. We're going to list.map over a locked object. And that's going to be an ID name. And we're pretty much just going to do IDs are, there's no other spaces, so a space would be a sufficient separator. List.map, locked object, and string.join with new line. This is not included in our build yet, so it's not necessarily going to be trying to compile it. Do we deal with persist stuff here in our current version? No, still, that particular transformation. Well, what does it currently look like? Persistent code. Yeah, we've got save state, which does, man, it's calling some functions. Okay, it's building a persist, which is probably the part we want to put in model. Locked object list takes a model and returns that thing. All right, so when we're looking at our view, we're looking up object names. Model.servers, model.selected server, pull the objects property out. So we're going to be doing this multiple times. Model.selected server, and then so that's the server ID. Let's might throw in other IDs here. Get the objects, which apparently is object name. And then this is the part that... So that is itself going to be a maybe when we're doing an and then on it. Because we have to deal with the default case anyway. In. All right, model dot, is it locked objects? Yeah, locked objects is the set of locked things. For each of those, you are a set. Is there a set? Well, we're going to a list anyway. Somewhere along the line, we're going to a list. And then in there, we have maybe names. This could almost be a maybe. The serializer would have to deal with it, but we could leave out the space. And then it would just be a nothing. As much as that's a little bit of a pain there. Singular. Oh, so this is actually a case then. Oh, you have to be you're an int though. Hmm. You know... This gets a lot simpler. Well, actually, no, it doesn't, because the object ID is in the wrong position. Well, I mean, it does get simpler, but not that much simpler. And actually, we're not mapping it to this. We're mapping it to object ID. That. That's to a tuple. All right, that it should actually be attempting to compile. List may be string. Oh, you still have the declaration of string. Locked objects. Where are you? Oh, you're... Oh, I must have started typing something in here. You were trying to expose. Then map UI. Ah, yes. It is in a submodule. Maybe name. All right, we will need some kind of view thing. It probably actually this is probably going to be a temporary control, and I'm going to need to think about adding an icon or something for it later. So on my lock screen, we've got a clear all. I don't really have anything that's particularly indicative of download right now. That is a row that is aligned right. This is something I'm basically going to comment out, so. Oop, wrong one. Until we can do it properly. Because I don't think the export is going to have any utility to anybody else. Until we do the import. Not even really sure what I'd use for that right now. I've got the persisted thing. But... Oh, the entire purpose of this is to have that icon. No. All right, then we have to have a message. I was going to cascade a bunch of other stuff, which doesn't necessarily clear locked. Which is going to force us to implement the message. This has no effect on the model. This is going to do nothing immediately here. Okay, we're compiling again. All right, so persist the save state. That's loading it again. What do I do there? So that's gonna be nothing. Model. Because you actually went to the command. This is model. Locked object list to persist dot serialize dot locked objects. Locked objects to is where we need our cross reference. Encode export, you were doing JSON. This one was just a toString. Export to file download. And we probably could do this as well. It's not what save did. But that's something that we tend to do more often. Although the phrasing of that's perhaps a little bit off. Because it's saying download, but it's only just exporting it. I guess that still says export. Download dot string. We're only going to get one default file name. Actually, it's effectively just text plain. And we have not imported file yet. So that's going to be a system library. Or is it file.download? Persist.serialize. Locked objects. Locked object list probably needs to be exposed. I should get a download notice, shouldn't I? Oh, I haven't sent it yet. Oh, now you see, right, it's a just because it doesn't have to be a message. Okay. So that has the list, and it tells us what it is. Now, we do have to rebuild the list, but it's just going to be a lot easier to kind of keep it in our heads here. So we did well. Let's see, this is really, well, these are more visible than the locks, and we could just say lock that. Wet oil well. I think we may have skipped dry well site. Yeah, this is an abandoned Eve location. I guess that might indicate some iron or something. Dry deep well, Ditrello well, exhausted deep well, exhausted oil well we were going to skip. And I guess if we're trying to get things that were only touched. Maybe I should do only things that were only spots that were touched, and then like do more of an intersect. An exhausted well that was touched in the last period would be interesting. Kind of. It's not going to show you a town or anything. Of course, I guess we've got other kind of oil wells, so. We'll get that from FAMUs. Well site, no. FAMUs, 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 FAMUs. Tap out trigger. Oh, I didn't lock it. So I guess from lack of error, we need to be doing it this way. FAMUs, 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 tap out. Oh, and no, I have these in shorthand. These are like actually like end tower. Although I could just go get these. End tower, end tower. Let's see. So these are monument call. We'll have them in the list, effectively anyway. Then there is the apocalypse. And I think everything else comes down to some kind of pump. Not pumpkin. Not pump valve. Oil pump, not pumping kit. Empty oil pump, maybe. I think that thing we probably won't actually see. Oh, I have to show all. Oh, that reset this. Running oil pump, pump valve jacket, wet Newcomen, dry Newcomen, exhausted pump valve, firing pump jack. Don't know if some of these we won't actually see. Sprinkler. I mean, it's a sign of big civilization, but they should already have a well. Sprinkler, pumpkin, sprinkler, oil pump jack, Newcomen, running oil pump, pumpkin seeds, pump jack, wet kerosene, Newcomen, pump jack. It could get left in a weird state. Newcomen, oil, Newcomen, water pump, oil pump jack, oil pump jack, yeah, unpowered pump head is actually it. It's a FAM use. Although it actually be fairly easy to check these off, but I just have one list. We're actually doing more manual stuff than automatic stuff, unfortunately. FAM use, sprinkler pump, Newcomen, powered pump head, exhausted pump jack. Pump head is the pump valve, I think. Pumpkin chunks, kerosene, FAM use, burner added low, burner added high. Pile of pumpkin chunks. So that is actually going to be downloads. I don't think there's going to be anything. I mean, we kind of lost our notes on, well, end tower, on which is which, but all right, and then I actually want to rename that. Map, not source, public. You are going to be I guess we're going to have still a little bit of built-in on knowing it's this set. But to a certain extent, I mean, like the server list is 1 hour 1 life server list. The monuments are those are basically server numbers. I guess to a certain, maybe the server should have some sort of identification for what data set to use, but that's a thing I still have to build out. All right. So we're back to Ruby. What are we doing? All right, so we had notable. Did I not start a notable object? Notable objects, which gets a file system and a path and reads the lines, and that was just going to be one line per. Actually, line.2i might work. This will be a little bit per server, but for now it's not. Be notable objects, not read notable objects. File system, data. There's something to do file system completions, but actually, we consider this as public data, so it might not do it. 1 hour. 1 hour. And really, we can just exit then for what we're doing right now. A whole map. I've been one of our older ones. That's that processing. That'd be you. Initialized constant. All right, we did not load it. This would be kind of like object data. Empty list. So that did not quite work. That's still not. Well, that's going to go back to here to see what's going on. Did we get enough? Do we save? Maybe if it failed, it doesn't call back. Okay. I guess it could be pretty easy to misspell that. 1 hour, 1 life, notable objects.txt. Oh. I'm pointing at my temp directory right now. You're at hostable. You are at 1 text. I guess we're not using that as much anymore. Oh, we do have a data with who knows what in it. So we're actually prototyping here right now. God, that is a whole list of things. And since we've set aside a little thing for this, no. Should you just have the whole object? Let's see, so that actually just read a list. Do I want to have it? Let's see, if that's actually in object data, that'd be appending to object data. And this can be a default value, sure. Map process. So we load our objects. We give you objects.notable. That should be a little bit of a longer list. Oh, you came through with strings. which is often how we're referring to some certain things. I'm going to have to peel down to IDs for this, so that could work. You were asked to parenthesis, yep. All right, so that gives us a list. That I think is going to have to get passed. Oh, we create final placements. Is probably where the data gets passed in. Objects. Initialize. You can have a default value. Looks like we could make this part of object data. But it really is a different source. Although that means if we're dealing with these things in logging, yeah, or this gets parts of it. So we could do a version of this, which to a certain extent we have to do anyway. And this has to be from everything before cutoff. So this is, and we're not putting that for testing. This was reporting on that stuff. Total is the total. Index, index.map. We have not thrown out index yet. There's key and the list of locations. At this point, it is only the final position, so we don't have to worry about like multiple instances per location. But with different objects, we do. No, because this level is from final image. They shouldn't be able to collide. So this is going to be, let's see, so you mapped to a Boolean, and then that's the index. You skip if it's not included. To write, oh. Object triples. ID list coords inc. Oh, so the way this actually writes out, I just have to filter down to a, these put them out as individual objects. We essentially need to transform it into this and then write that once. This is going to be a different kind of triples. So what we started with is ID to list. We have our list. So this has been doing this step at the output level. Well, if we're going to combine it into one thing at some point, we kind of have to map over doing that anyway. So this is going to be a different kind of triple. So that's a writer with a path. That was probably like a date time. Zoom level, okay. That's the total number of entries, which actually shouldn't be enough that we only need a progress bar for this. We're not writing out multiple files. And then these triples is just kind of a single pass. So we think it's going to be this already encoded. Actually, this would have access to Notable. Yeah, we had to do a certain amount of preparation in order to get the data to put here. But generally, I might want to keep it more top level, which would give you... We've got Notable as reference. That might change if we have to deal with multiple servers somehow. So you would in fact be, it wouldn't be an object triple, it would be object pairs that had been filtered down. Actually, with Notable, you can do the filtering. Thank you. And this is going to be in static. This is going to be like Notable. So Notable is a thing that's accessible everywhere here. Index is ID to list of coordinates. So we're preparing triples as an array. Index dot each, call it each pair. ID is going to be a list of chords. What else I did do last time? And then if Notable dot is it includes? I always forget. Oh, actually, it's probably member, which is probably a member of enumerable. And, oh, this doesn't deal with if we end up having our log thing that has to get merged in. So maybe then we don't want that in the right method. Although what we're making is a kind of triple. Noted. And that's also of interest. Just for quick feedback. And we had one notable object. That doesn't seem very reasonable. Well, actually, the thing we're examining was like a very short start. It's possible only one family got to a well. Certainly nobody got to bells and things. Where is output? This is probably a much older time. Key search. There's a lot of things. We did not. Okay, we did write a notable. Where do we put? Do I still have open? No. And in fact, it kind of ended up in here. Plus the couple of other things from like FAM use and stuff. But like a shallow well might actually be appropriate for the tech level we got to there. We're not going to get to Newcomen, we're not going to get to oil, we're not going to get to the Apocalypse Towers. I don't even know if we had some of the tap-out mechanics then. So that might be reasonable. Oh, you know what? It is not reasonable because we said equals. Noted dot. We could say we're not dealing with the possibility of overlap, so I think arrays support that. Oh, yeah, a few more. 662, and then there was 1663, so somebody got to Deepwell. That seems a little bit more reasonable. And then the other thing we were debating is whether do we just combine these indexes into a single file, or do we want to account for things that may have appeared and disappeared? For monument calls, yes. we're still going to end up recording the last thing that happens. I guess in a monument call that would kind of end up being the last thing. So we then come along and overlay final image. It'll reset it back to what that was. You'd get the event object, but we're only pulling from the indexes where those things occurred. So if it was something that was then not on the list, that would not replace it. Although if it was like monument call and then they started taking it down, you would get the lower levels of it, which would not be an accurate representation of the tower had then been taken down completely. Hey, Liger. I know when I got up, the boss runs were still going. I haven't checked. I haven't checked lately in the last couple hours. Lineage, and for some reason I keep going to the root page, which doesn't help. Got to 40, it was like something else later. Adult, yep, there are still boss runs going. Of course, I should probably be wrapping up soon, but thanks for the bits and the lurk. Just debating whether to pull in things other than what we can finally see that might skip over some things that happened during the period, but you could still get that from searching in the event. Straight up event data if you're really interested in that thing. Maybe I was thinking more in terms of like a monument call log. If we were recording every event. But once again, search for Ringing Bell, you can find it. I guess actually a calling Apocalypse never appears in the map logs, because that's a time thing. So if we don't include event-based data, we don't see things like Apocalypse got taken down, but other than, hey, there was an attempt, maybe we don't care. And then I still have to build out front-end support for this particular version of it. I had the prototype. All right, did I leave our list of notable objects? Right. Some of my right DIRs are not necessarily interesting or helpful. DIR zoom. Sort of is, right, objects. If we're writing objects, I actually don't know if I need this. We had notable. So if we did something like, what's our, we're still missing a lot of stuff from the, I can see what the latest timestamp would be. No, it's based on logs, which we have. And there might be some other map steps that get missed here. All right, that was our baby one. That was recent at the time. We have now marched on. 16 13089246. So this is actual data with a little bit of the sail uptick on it. Only the very beginning of it, though. This is only, I don't think this is doing the log images right now. Unless it is, and I just was relying on I'm not skipping the previously done on that. Nah. I don't think I saw activity maps. We're not doing all this stuff. Yeah, right objects. I didn't do anything special for the notable on that. Output PL 17. We should have a new one. Oh, we actually did do log search. Okay. Then we got a whole bunch of stuff. Most of it not very big. Notable is still 1 kilobyte itself. So that's not too big. I will, however, have to add some code to load this, and it's not even going to be that much. We already have the file format parser, although so far we've been throwing out the object IDs. So that's going to be a little bit different. We do have, I'm not in the right time step for it. I changed the monument icon. Where was that? It was like January somewhere. Or was it December? Oh, I cleared my old locked object. Actually, I am searching for all of that stuff. No, maybe it's actually out here. It's locked. No, it's December, right? It was like mid-December or mid-January. Oh, yep, there it is. And that was the prototype stuff. But that is based on going and getting a list of stuff using already kind of existing methods. Which reminds me, did I do one for source control here? All right, so far that all that stuff is a one-off. How many is that? JSON host. I think I completely closed it. JSON. Yeah, we're going. Oh, I've not included that. Yeah, we included that much. I'm not yet sure if we want to do any kind of detailed thing. Oh, actually, no, this is it. Or was it? I know this is hostable. We've learned from you. Actually, so this is the view. Downloading that is not going to be useful to anybody except me. Ends up being kind of an awkward removal, though. Okay, no download button. No, not you. Add file, add all of that stuff. We just don't expose the UI for it until we can do an importer as well. Circ. Whip object search list download. And we're already getting kind of late here. Yeah, so this is taking this. Do you even have? No, you have to be handling multiple object IDs. Notable object receives is, yeah, keys. But this is going to get called for each thing. Fetch notable objects, fetch notable object. See, if that's a list of keys with ID, it might be sufficient to change that to just fetch this one file. I mean, it's set up to do a bunch of, like, what, like set merges? List, okay, so list append. Which is too much work right now. We've got our, like, model notable objects, which is not in the model, it's just exposed here. You get the model to say, we called them node locations there. We're fetching that. It's just model, so somewhere require notable objects. Fetch notable objects, which this is doing that map. And we've already committed. So we've got a list URL. Oh, the URL was an ID. This would technically be a, the ID is an object ID, so they're going to int it. So fetch object search URL, or from int, it will not be able to do that. So now we're into config. See, the notable object IDs are only for our data processing. I think we did just call it notable.txt. It's technically being stored under key search. Does model have a config type? Yes. Which I ended up going the other way. So that doesn't reuse quite as much as we were hoping. Fetch notable objects. Fetch notable object. It is not going to be a list URL. You are actually going to have to patch key search. It is a list after a fashion. All right, so list URL, server ID, data time. And you see fetch object search URL is all of this stuff. Oh, was I using this for indexes as well? Or not? Index URL, fetch object search index. That does get a... But this has a fixed response to it. So this is doing an inline replace. I probably extracted that for use there, actually. So now this is like repeated code. Index URL, list URL. Server, data time. Parse notable object actually probably works. Notable object received does more work than it needs to. Key search notable. Where's that? Is that right? Maybe we determined that was right. Did we do that in notable? Notable. Okay, I changed the init, not the type. Aha. Oh, and then we pull this out into model from the config. Oh. Notable object received was getting an ID. Okay. Why do you need that? The answer is we don't. I was just kind of copying stuff from other things that did need it. Or from log object search received, probably. All right, we left one lying around somewhere. That's probably the error case. No, we did the error case, not the main case. And this was processed for the current time. It's going to be... or not. Oh, because I have to copy this data set over. We did it in our working zone. PL U key search, and we also got log search. Yep. Oh, map. Public PL 17. This should be the most recent. Had a 7 in it. And I still have my debugging search stuff up. So if we go into there, the wells all seem to match up. We've got okay, bell tower there. There's actually a complete... Isn't there a complete bell tower somewhere else? And then that was a later one? Oh, maybe I'm thinking of this. Yeah, I'm not getting the monument list comes from updating my local server, which I don't have yet. So, oh, I need to exclude the cisterns. Interesting, but a little bit spammy. Maybe it is just a manual list, and I have that for reference. Or is like notable objects manually excluding that? Because now we've got like a data file for include and like a data file for exclude. But right now, that's the only thing that's like showing up as too much. And they mostly kind of blend into the wells. Oh, and I might want to define an order to these, which would be another reason to do more of a manual list, because then I can order the list and use that to say when the map opens up, we can... that was the truck search that we were currently on. We can pick something that seems like it might be a recently active relevant spot. Yeah. I might need to just do a manual list. Well, judging from the amount of objects that are currently in there, automation isn't going to save me a whole lot here. Might still be useful to keep track of that information, but it's not going to be so urgent. All right, well, I want to get to lunch. So that I might be able to include the couple of items. It's not even all of the items, because like some of the monument calls won't even really work. Include those in, figure out what kind of priority order we want to use. Although, I guess since I'm going through a kind of hash table, maybe I'm not sure I'm going to keep the order on that. Although, this is probably good. Where's my exposing? Notable object index. That's still got some work to do. It might be close enough that I can make those tweaks and start doing data processing. We shall see. But thanks for watching. Thanks to your kitty fat for the bits and support from all of the subscribers. Let's see what we got. Looks like we have Rainy in 2 Life and Midnight Adrenaline in Small Server. We have any other coding going on? That's what I'm usually on. Probably need to do some more code scouting. How about some witness? That involves some logical thinking. It looks like.
Oh, where about the top?
Oops, Twitch turned off their mute. So it looks like they're into some really late game stuff. I remember struggling with some of these, so. Does have a no spoilers tag, so you can just kind of cheer them on, maybe. If it was cool to hang out. Linda, I don't know if it's maybe Linda K. Linda K14 is playing The Witness, which is a really cool game that I think I streamed at the very beginning. But it's a puzzle game, so there's not a whole lot of reason to replay it. But that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye and until next time.